and a guy who's going to help me understand what's going on in the NBA and a lot of rumors flying around. My guy, Zach Harper, the NBA writer for The Athletic, radio host on SiriusXM NBA and Sirius Mad Dog Radio, and follow him on Twitter at Talk Hoops. Zach, I need your help, man. Before we get to tonight's games and what happened last night, just rumors circulating over the last couple of days with that early exit from the Milwaukee Bucks that could Giannis Antetokounmpo possibly saying, you know what, I'm maybe done in Milwaukee. What's going on over here in Milwaukee, Zach?
I think that's extreme. I'm not buying that. I think Giannis is. I think the weird thing is, like, Giannis is one of those, like, insanely loyal dudes, right? And so when he starts throwing Mike Budenholzer under the bus, which is exactly what he did after that loss, saying we didn't make adjustments, I would have liked to guard, Jimmy Butler more, but that's the coach's call. That's very throwing him under the bus. Giannis doesn't talk like that. And so I think Mike Budenholzer is probably going to be out. That's not confirmed, but it's probably going to be out. And then I think we see where they want to go with the coach, whether that's Charles Lee, their very popular assistant, or whether that's someone else, like maybe bringing in Nick Nurse, who just got fired in Toronto. Like, I think that's the change we're going to see. I can't imagine Giannis to be like, all right, get me out of here.
Yeah, I know, just disappointing loss. And so you see the fallout over the last couple of days. And people, I'm just saying, watching, trying to figure out their roles on the team. It's just so much up in the air. And I can't believe it. They're out of the playoffs. But now you talk about the teams who are in the playoffs. And we talk about last night's game. The Boston Celtics, they get a win. They win Game 6. They move on to the Eastern Conference semifinals. Now we know Sixers, Celtics. How does this Eastern Conference semifinal match up for you on both sides, whether it's the Knicks versus the Heat and also now the Celtics versus the Sixers?
I mean, is it weird that I'm more interested in Knicks Heat because both these teams are kind of scrappy and we have the history? Like, you look at the rich history of just the last, 25 years, 26 years between these two teams. There's a lot of fights. Remember, Amari Stoudemire once punched a fire extinguisher? There's been a lot that's happened in this rivalry, and to get it renewed with two hard-nosed teams that make a lot of, hard-nosed winning plays, I'm excited for that series. Don't get me wrong. Sixers Celtics is going to be great.
Right.
We've seen this story before. That's just all about, can Joel Embiid be dominant against the Celtics, which he hasn't been in the past. His numbers against the Celtics in the playoffs are good, but they're not dominant, and it hasn't led to very many wins. And so, that's just can this guy get over the hump against his team? Knicks Heat, who knows what's going to happen when Jimmy Butler's out there?
Is there a legitimate shot for the winner of that series, whether it's the Heat or the Knicks, to actually win an NBA title, or is it just about getting to the NBA Finals and see what happens when you get there?
I'm still in on the Heat. Look, the Heat were a shot away from making the NBA Finals last year.
Okay.
Right? And would they have beaten the Warriors in the finals? Probably not. I can't imagine they would have, but I think it would have been tough, and I think they would have put up a good fight. So I think it would probably be more like that. I don't think the Knicks quite have it. Jalen Brunson's really good. The role players are playing really well. I think Julius Randle needs to be a lot better if they're going to start thinking about, all right, can we beat the Celtics or the Sixers? But I do think the Heat, there's still enough there over the last few years where if they're hitting three-point shots, everything else they do makes it really difficult to beat them.
NBA writer for The Athletic and radio host on SiriusXM NBA Radio, Zach Harper, joining the Rich Eisen Show. Kirk Morrison here, filling in for Rich. Zach, obviously we talked about one side of it, but 76ers, Celtics, what should we expect? This going 6, 7, what should we possibly expect? I know the health of Embiid is a big part of this, but what should we expect from this series?
It should go 7, but like you said, Embiid, it seems like there's always something, right? There's one time he was sick. There's one time he's been dealing with injuries. He got his face broken last year. There's always something with Embiid in the postseason. And it is this just black hole of misfortune when it comes to everyone involved in the Sixers. James Harden always finds a way to flame out, right?
Right.
Joel Embiid always finds a way to flame out. Doc Rivers, the king of blowing 3-1 leads in NBA coaching history.
Yeah.
You have all of these good things. The Sixers have had some decent teams, and they've made it to the conference finals once in the last 22 years, right? It's they don't have success Whereas the Celtics, they're this institution and everything, but it all comes down to if Embiid plays like the MVP, it puts the Celtics in a tough predicament, but we don't see that consistency from Joel Embiid in the postseason year after year.
You know, Brockman brought up a little bit earlier when you think about the Western Conference and the Denver Nuggets versus the Phoenix Suns. Is it an upset if the Nuggets lose to the Suns? Because the Nuggets are a team that's been built all season long, where this Suns team has been built 5 minutes ago. So if the Suns team that comes together beats the Nuggets, it's not a big upset. How do you see that series playing out?
Isn't it kind of messed up that if the Nuggets lose to Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Chris Paul, we're like, oh, you guys blew it, right?
Right,
like, it's
exactly.
Messed up, but that's the thing. Like, you're the one seed. You're the team who's been saying for 2 years, hey, if we're just healthy in the playoffs, look out. Well, you're healthy in the playoffs now, and you have a two-time MVP who, I don't know, maybe wins the third one in a row this year.
Yeah.
I don't know how that voting shook out, but you have at least a two-time MVP who really has not done much in terms of team winning in the playoffs. They made the conference finals 1 year in the bubble, but we don't know what to do with that yet. We still don't have the space historically to properly judge that. And so a lot of people say, look, you're the one seed, you got MVP, everyone talks this team up and talks this dude up. We need to see postseason results. And yet you have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Like, other than Jimmy Butler, nobody is playing better than Devin Booker right now. Mm-hmm. Like, he is an absolute destroyer in this postseason so far. And now you have, a team with a lot of questions defensively on the perimeter trying to handle him and Kevin Durant. But at the same time, the Suns go about 4.5 deep right now in their rotation. Like, they don't have any depth. And Kevin Durant's playing like 45 minutes like a night. Like, there's part of me that fears that that's not going to hold up.
It sounds like Jimmy Butler, too, though. Jimmy Butler playing about 55 minutes a game in a 48-minute game.
55 minutes in 48-minute games. I don't know how he does it. He's just going out there at halftime and running drills.
Hey, Zach, the Lakers win tonight because – or the Grizzlies win tonight because?
The Grizzlies win tonight if they can push the pace. I think they found something in the last two games, the second half of game 4 and then all of game 5. When they push the pace against this Lakers team can't really hold up.
Right.
Like, they can't keep up with this team. And so when Desmond Bane and John Moran are able to just get out in transition, and whether that leads to a fast break bucket or not, you at least create some defensive mismatches by the Lakers having to scramble back. And so I think that's how they keep the series alive is, like, look, LeBron had a great game with the 2020 the other night. Last couple of games, he looks old. Like, yeah. He's not moving the way you expect him to move, and that's a tough standard to hold him to. But I think if the Lakers can slow this thing down and make it about skill and make it about stars, I think they close this thing out.
Same thing over in the other matchup tonight, the early matchup, the appetizer, which is the Kings and the Warriors. Can the Kings pull one off at the Chase Center in San Francisco, or is it finally the Warriors have found something with Draymond Green coming off the bench for this series?
I think they found something, but if you look at the Kings right now, maybe this is just the lack of experience, although the guys that are struggling right now do have some experience. Kevin Huerter shooting 16% from three. That's a guy that should hit over 40%. Malik Monk shooting 32% from three. That's a 40% shooter. Harrison Barnes shooting 22.7% from three. That's a 40% shooter. If they can make threes and compete at the three-point line, they can extend the series. But, like, look, we've said it all year with the Warriors. At home, they're a monster. Well, they're at home tonight, and they should close this out. But also, nothing about this Warriors team makes sense this season. It's the weirdest title defense I've seen. Like, I don't know what to make. So you could tell me, look, the Kings are going to win this in 7. I'd be like, yeah, I get it.
Zach, as a Warriors fan, I'm just counting the victories. That's all. We need 13 more. That's all I'm saying.
Need, right?
That's
all
we need.
Doesn't matter how you get
Don't matter how you get them.
As long as you get them.
We just need 13 wins. That's all I'm saying. Just a couple more minutes here with Zach Harper, NBA writer for The Athletic, and also SiriusXM NBA radio host at Talk Hoops on Twitter. As I sit here in the El Segundo Rich Eisen Studios, not too far from the Intuit Dome, home of the future Los Angeles Clippers, the way that it ended this week, obviously injuries to Paul George, injuries to Kawhi Leonard, Zach, the talk around Los Angeles, his other team, the Clippers, is it about breaking this thing up? Because if you break it up, what do you go out and get? And what is there actually for you to obtain? What does Russell Westbrook do? I'm just sitting here. Can the Clippers ever compete, especially when you're opening up a new arena?
It's a great question. I mean, look, I don't know that you could get anything for Kawhi Leonard right now because of the injury history, right? Like, you tell people he's going to be healthy, you could get the world for him, but you can't tell anyone he's going to be healthy. Your nose will start growing. Like, you're just a liar, right? And so you can't do that. I think you could get something for Paul George. Even with the injury history he has, I think that he's still a dynamic enough player on both ends. If you were going to shake things up, you could get something for him. Russ is an interesting situation because they can't offer him a lot. They don't have any cap space and they don't have his bird rights, so he would have to take a discount to stay there. But he really found something that he was good for them after they acquired him, and so that's something that they need to consider. The problem for the Clippers, and this is really an advantage for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard's agents, is you're going to open that new arena around the time that these guys would need to be on new contracts. If I'm Kawhi Leonard's agent, I go, look, I know my guy's hurt all the time, but you're going to open that new arena with Norm Powell and Marcus Morris as the stars? Like, I don't think so. Like, give me a new 4-year max or whatever that ends up being. So the Clippers have some decisions to make. I think you run it back another year because the whole goal is, can you keep these guys healthy in the playoffs? If you can, you think there's a title there or at least a title contention. We just don't see it, but I get it. Like, it's the definition of insanity. You keep doing the same thing over and over, and you get the same results.
All right, Zach, got to let you go. Do we have multiple Game 7s on Sunday? We have one, or do we have none? The prediction time.
We should always root for Game 7. So, yeah, go Grizzlies, go Kings, get us some Game 7.
Come on, man. You can't do that. You can't make me nervous as a Warriors fan. Don't do that to me.
What if I guarantee they win Game 7, which I can't because they're on the road? I'm sorry.
All right. I can do that. I'll live with that, especially with the other team possibly in a Game 7. Hey, appreciate the time, Zach.
Thanks, Kirk. Appreciate it.
That's Zach Harper, the NBA writer for The Athletic, radio host on Sirius XM NBA Radio. Great follow as well on Twitter and Instagram at Talk Hoops.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.